ladies and gentlemen. There is a moment in life, perhaps a quiet one, when we all confront the undeniable truth something has ended. A chapter has closed, a bond has fractured, a dream has slipped through our fingers. And in that moment we stand at a crossroads, paralyzed between holding on and letting go. But I tell you this, let it end. Let it hurt. Feel every ounce of that pain, for it is proof that you cared, that you loved, that you dreamed with all your heart. To deny it is to deny your humanity. You cannot outrun pain. It will chase you, find you, and demand to be heard. So listen. Let the ache echo within you, not to break you, but to remind you of your strength. But strength, true strength, is not in clinging to what was. It is in daring to let it go. To stand tall amidst the rubble of what once was and say, this does not define me. Moving on is not an act of forgetting, it is an act of choosing. Choosing yourself. Choosing hope. Choosing to live again. And yes, my friends, healing is slow. It is not a straight path, but a winding one. There will be days when the pain feels distant, and others when it returns with a vengeance. That is all right. Be patient with yourself. You are not weak because you hurt, you are alive because you feel. But understand this: to heal is not merely to wait for time to do its work. It is to face the past with courage, to forgive not for them, but for you. Forgive the ones who wronged you, and forgive yourself for the mistakes you made. In forgiveness lies freedom, and in freedom lies peace. Letting go does not mean losing, it means opening your hands to receive something greater. The universe is not stagnant, and neither are you. When one door closes, it is not the end of the hallway, it is a redirection. Trust in that. Trust in yourself. Rebuild piece by piece with the quiet confidence that you are not what happened to you, but what you choose to become. And when you are ready, truly ready, look back not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons, for the love, and even for the pain, for it all made you who you are today. There comes a time in each of our lives when we are faced with the undeniable truth that something must end. Whether it's the closing of a significant chapter in our personal lives, the end of a relationship, or even the conclusion of a long-held dream, the finality of an ending can be one of the most difficult things to accept. We often resist it, fighting against the natural flow of life because deep down we are afraid. Afraid of loss, afraid of what we are leaving behind, afraid of what comes next. But in this resistance we often fail to see the simple and undeniable truth: some things are meant to end. They have fulfilled their purpose, and now, in their passing, they offer us a chance for growth, for renewal, and for a new beginning. To accept the end of something is, in essence, to accept life as it is. We are not always in control of when or how things come to a close. In fact, life often has a way of pulling the rug out from under us when we least expect it. We may feel betrayed by fate or robbed of something we thought would last forever. But the reality is, nothing in this world is meant to last indefinitely. Change is the only constant we can truly rely on, and the more we resist it, the more we prolong our own suffering. The challenge is not in the end itself, but in how we react to it. When we resist an ending, we deny ourselves the ability to move forward. We keep holding on to what has already passed, refusing to let go, which traps us in a perpetual state of mourning, anger, or regret. By refusing to accept the end, we unwittingly give it power over us. It becomes a shadow that looms over our every thought, preventing us from seeing the possibilities that lie ahead. This resistance consumes us, making it even more difficult to move on, to grow, and to embrace new opportunities. To truly move forward, we must first embrace the reality of endings. We must recognize that every experience, every relationship, every chapter of our lives has its time. Just as the seasons change, so too must the circumstances and phases of our lives. An end doesn't signify failure or defeat, it signifies the completion of a cycle, the closing of a door that has opened many possibilities. The beauty of an ending lies not in its conclusion, but in the lessons it leaves behind. It is only when we can look back at what has ended and acknowledge its value that we can start to heal and prepare ourselves for what is to come. For example, when we experience the end of a relationship, it can feel like the world has crumbled around us. We may cling to the memories, replaying the moments that once brought us joy, wondering if we could have done something differently to prevent the inevitable. But what if we accepted the reality of that ending? What if we acknowledged that the relationship, for all its highs and lows, has come to a close because it served its purpose in our lives? What if we saw the lessons we've learned, the strength we've gained, and the wisdom we now carry forward as a result of that experience? Likewise, when we encounter the end of a dream, we often feel lost. Dreams can be a part of us, woven into the very fabric of who we are. When they slip away or fade, it can feel as though we've lost a piece of ourselves. But what if, instead of resisting, we accepted that this dream may no longer be the right fit for us? What if we saw that this ending was an invitation to dream anew, to pursue something even more aligned with who we are now? When we stop clinging to what has ended, we free ourselves to embrace new possibilities, to envision new dreams that will take us on an even more rewarding journey. Accepting the end of something requires vulnerability. It means acknowledging that we are not in control of everything in our lives, and that's okay. There is power in surrendering to the natural flow of life, in letting go of the need to control the outcome. When we accept the finality of an ending, we allow ourselves to be present in the moment, to honor what was, and to be open to what will be. This acceptance doesn't diminish the importance of what we've lost or experienced. Rather, it magnifies the beauty of those moments, for they were a part of our journey and made us who we are today. They deserve to be acknowledged, not through clinging, but through gratitude for the time they shared with us. So as we move through life, let us learn to accept the endings that come our way. Let us no longer resist, but embrace the truth that nothing is meant to last forever. For it is in this acceptance that we find peace, that we create space for new growth, and that we allow life to unfold in all its beautiful unpredictability. The end, in fact, is not the end at all. It is merely the beginning of something new. Pain is an inevitable part of the human experience. It comes in many forms, physical and emotional, and no one is exempt from it. We often do everything in our power to avoid it, to numb it, or to distract ourselves from it. Yet in our haste to escape pain, we miss the deeper truth. Pain is not something to fear or avoid, but something to be embraced. To truly heal, we must allow ourselves to feel the full depth of our pain, no matter how uncomfortable or overwhelming it may seem. For only by acknowledging and accepting the pain can we begin the process of healing. When pain strikes, whether it's the loss of a loved one, the end of a relationship, the failure of a dream, or the realization that we've been hurt in some way, our first instinct is often to push it away. We try to resist the overwhelming emotions, whether it's sadness, anger, guilt, or confusion, hoping that by ignoring them, they will somehow disappear. But pain doesn't work that way. It cannot be shoved into a corner or locked away in a box. It is a force of nature, and like all forces, it must be acknowledged and dealt with. The mistake many of us make is in trying to hurry through pain. We believe that the sooner we can move past it, the sooner we can get back to feeling normal. We want to skip the hard part, the messy part, and get to the part where we feel better again. But in doing so, we deny ourselves the opportunity to truly process what has happened. We refuse to give ourselves permission to grieve, to mourn, and to feel the rawness of the situation. And by not fully experiencing the pain, we end up carrying it with us, unresolved, like a weight on our shoulders. The pain will always find a way to resurface, perhaps in ways that we don't even recognize, until we face it head on. This doesn't mean that we must wallow in pain forever. It's not about getting stuck in the hurt or living in a perpetual state of misery. Rather, it's about allowing ourselves to sit with the pain for as long as we need to feel it completely without judgment or resistance. This is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It takes immense courage to allow ourselves to feel deeply, to experience the pain and to not run from it. It is in this raw vulnerability that true healing begins. Only when we allow ourselves to feel the depths of our emotions can we begin to process them, understand them, and eventually release them. Pain also has a transformative quality. It forces us to confront our vulnerabilities, our fears, and our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. In the midst of the pain, we may feel broken, lost, or hopeless. But if we can sit with it long enough, we start to see the lessons it carries. Pain can be a powerful teacher, helping us to understand what truly matters in life, what we value, and what we are capable of enduring. It strips away the superficial layers of our existence and forces us to get real with ourselves. In that process, we grow. We become more resilient, more compassionate, and more connected to the world and to others. At times, the pain can feel insurmountable. It can seem as though it will never end, that we will never find our way out of the darkness. But if we can endure, if we can stay with it long enough, we eventually begin to see the light again. The pain slowly transforms into something else, something softer, something that no longer has the power to control us. The process of healing is not linear. There will be setbacks, moments when the pain resurfaces unexpectedly, reminding us that it is still there. But each time we face it, we become stronger, more at peace with it, and more capable of moving forward. The key is not to avoid the pain, but to allow it to be a part of the journey. Pain is not the enemy, it is a messenger. It is telling us that something matters, that something has been lost, that something needs attention. If we honor it, if we allow ourselves to truly experience it, we create space for healing to take place. In that space, we can release the grip the pain has on us, and we can begin to rebuild our lives. Only when we stop fighting pain can we start to move beyond it. To embrace pain is to honor our humanity. It's to acknowledge that we are not invincible, that we will hurt, that we will falter, and that we will endure. In doing so, we give ourselves the grace to heal, to grow, and to rise again, not despite the pain, but because of it. Pain may be uncomfortable, even excruciating at times, but it is also a reminder that we are alive, that we are capable of deep love, and that we are resilient beyond measure. Healing is often seen as a destination we wish to reach, a point where the pain stops and everything is made right again. We imagine it as something that happens quickly, as though one day we wake up and the hurt is simply gone. Yet in truth, healing is not a fast process. It is not an event, but a journey. A journey that demands patience, understanding, and above all, time. There is no set timetable for healing, and trying to rush it often only prolongs the pain. To heal fully, we must honor the process, allow ourselves to move through it at our own pace, and trust that, in time, we will emerge stronger and more whole than before. The first aspect of healing that requires patience is the simple fact that it does not happen overnight. When we face loss, disappointment, or emotional trauma, the initial impulse is to push through, to get back to normal as quickly as possible. We might try to numb the pain with distractions, busy work, or even avoidance, but this only masks the issue temporarily. True healing cannot be rushed, and it does not follow a linear path. Some days will feel better than others, and there will be moments where the pain resurfaces with unexpected intensity. We may feel as though we are back at square one, and in those moments it is crucial to remember that this is part of the process. Healing ebbs and flows, and there is no shame in needing time to heal fully. In fact, the more we allow ourselves to sit with the pain and acknowledge it, the more we can process it and release it when the time comes. The road to healing also requires self-compassion. We often forget that healing is not just about fixing ourselves, but about accepting ourselves as we are, broken and whole all at once. Too often we push ourselves to move on before we have truly processed the pain. This can lead to a sense of shame or frustration when we feel that we should be further along in our healing than we actually are. But this line of thinking does nothing but hinder our progress. It is essential to understand that healing is not a race, and there is no right amount of time to heal. It is okay to take your time. It is okay to feel messy, unsure, or even lost for a while. This is the human experience, and there is no shame in it. In fact, there is great strength in acknowledging our struggles and giving ourselves permission to move through them at our own pace. A key part of healing is the recognition that it is not a solitary process. We often try to carry our pain alone, believing that we must heal by ourselves. But healing is often supported by the compassion of others, whether that comes through friendships, family, or even professional help. Sometimes we need to lean on others to help us navigate our feelings, to offer us a different perspective, or simply to remind us that we are not alone in our suffering. It is essential to recognize that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful step toward healing. There is strength in vulnerability, and there is power in accepting the support that is offered to us. Finally, part of healing involves learning to trust the process. It is easy to become frustrated when progress feels slow or when we feel as though we are taking one step forward and two steps back. But the truth is, healing doesn't happen according to our timetable. We cannot control how long it takes, nor can we predict when we will finally feel better. Instead of focusing on the end result, we must shift our focus to the present moment. Trust that each step, no matter how small, is a step forward. Trust that, with time and patience, you will heal. Trust that, no matter how long the journey, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more whole than before. Healing may not be quick or easy, but it is always worth the effort. It is through the process of healing that we find our resilience, our strength, and our ability to embrace life again. With time, patience, and self-compassion, we can heal from the deepest wounds, and in doing so, become the people we were always meant to be. In the midst of pain and loss, it can often feel as though we are being shattered beyond repair, as though the weight of our struggles is more than we can bear. Yet what many fail to realize is that it is through these very struggles, the moments of hardship and heartache, that we have the potential for the most profound growth. Pain, while uncomfortable and distressing, is not just an obstacle, it is a teacher. It forces us to confront our limitations, to face our fears, and to discover parts of ourselves we may have never known existed. Struggles are not simply burdens to bear, but opportunities to rise, to transform, and to become something greater than we were before. When we go through challenging times, whether it's a personal loss, a failure, or a moment of self-doubt, it's natural to feel defeated. We may wonder why we are being tested, why we must endure such hardship. But instead of seeing our struggles as a punishment, we can choose to view them as opportunities to learn. Every difficult experience carries with it a lesson, a message about who we are, what we value, and what we are capable of overcoming. These lessons are often hidden beneath the surface of our pain, and it is only by looking inward with an open heart and mind that we can uncover them. For instance, when faced with failure, we may initially feel as though we have reached the end of the road. We may believe that our dreams are no longer possible, that we have somehow been defeated, but failure, in truth, is one of the most powerful tools for growth. It teaches us resilience, it pushes us to rethink our approach, and it helps us identify areas in which we need to improve. Failure is not the end, it is the beginning of a new chapter, one in which we are better equipped to succeed because we have learned from our mistakes. If we embrace failure rather than fear it, we can use it to propel ourselves forward. Similarly, when we experience a loss, whether it be the loss of a loved one, a relationship, or even a career, we often feel as though we are broken, as though something irreplaceable has been taken from us. But loss, too, carries with it the potential for growth. It teaches us the value of the people, relationships, and experiences we had before, and it opens our eyes to the beauty of the present moment. Loss forces us to re-evaluate our priorities, to recognize what truly matters, and to appreciate the fleeting nature of life itself. In the wake of loss, we often discover strength we never knew we had. We learn to appreciate what remains and to rebuild from the foundation up, emerging from our grief with a deeper understanding of who we are and what we want from life. Struggles also help us refine our character. When we face challenges, we are given the chance to develop qualities like patience, empathy, perseverance, and self-discipline. These qualities may not come easily, but they are forged in the fires of adversity. Just as a blacksmith shapes a blade by repeatedly heating and hammering it, we are shaped by the challenges we face. Each struggle we endure adds a layer to our resilience, a depth to our understanding of ourselves, and a clarity to our sense of purpose. We learn to navigate the world with greater wisdom, and we grow into individuals who are capable of facing even greater challenges in the future. Moreover, struggles often push us outside of our comfort zones, encouraging us to step into unknown territories. When we are forced to confront our limitations, we are also given the opportunity to break through them. We may discover hidden strengths, untapped talents, or new passions that we never would have encountered had we remained in our comfort zones. Growth often requires us to stretch ourselves beyond what we thought possible, And it is in these moments of discomfort that we truly learn what we are capable of achieving. The process of growth through struggles is not always easy, and there will undoubtedly be times when we feel overwhelmed or uncertain. But we must remember that it is through these very moments that we find our true power. The challenges we face do not define us, they reveal who we are at our core. They allow us to grow in ways we could never have imagined. When we look back on our struggles, we often find that they were not the obstacles we once thought they were, but the very catalysts for our transformation. Each difficulty we overcome becomes a stepping stone, a building block that lays the foundation for a stronger, more resilient version of ourselves. It is important to remember that growth is not always immediate, and it is not always obvious. Sometimes the lessons we learn are subtle, creeping in over time. But as we move through life, we begin to see how the pieces of our journey fit together, how each struggle, each setback, has contributed to the person we have become. Growth is not a linear process, it ebbs and flows, and sometimes it takes unexpected forms. But one thing is certain: if we are willing to embrace the challenges that life presents, we will emerge from them wiser, stronger, and more capable of handling whatever comes next. Struggles, while difficult, are the crucible in which we are forged into something far more powerful than we ever thought possible. Letting go is one of the most challenging yet liberating acts we can undertake in our lives. It is not a sign of defeat or weakness, but rather an act of strength, wisdom, and acceptance. The act of letting go is a deep, transformative process that demands courage. It requires us to surrender not only to the circumstances we cannot change, but also to the internal resistance that prevents us from moving forward. Whether it is a person, an experience, a belief, or a dream, letting go is about releasing our attachment to the past so that we can embrace the future with open arms. It is not about forgetting or erasing what was, but rather accepting that holding on to what no longer serves us only keeps us stuck. When we hold on to something or someone, it is often because we fear the unknown. We fear that if we let go, we will lose something important, something that defines us or gives us a sense of security. We become attached to the familiar, to the comfort of what we know, even when it no longer nourishes us. This attachment, however, becomes a form of bondage, chaining us to the past and preventing us from embracing the possibilities of the future. Letting go, therefore, is an act of liberation. It is the freedom to move forward, to release the weight of the past, and to make room for new opportunities and growth. Letting go does not mean we forget or discard the importance of what we have held on to. Rather, it means we accept that it has run its course and no longer has a place in our current reality. Often, we cling to the past because we are afraid of what comes next. We believe that letting go means leaving behind a part of ourselves, that we are somehow betraying what once was. But the truth is, by holding on to what is no longer serving us, we deny ourselves the chance to evolve, to grow, and to create new, fulfilling experiences. Letting go is an act of trust in ourselves and in the unknown. It is trusting that what is meant for us will find its way to us and that we are capable of navigating the uncertainties of life with grace and resilience. One of the hardest things to let go of is the past. The memories, the experiences, the people, and the moments that we've held on to so dearly. We often idealize the past, longing for times that seemed simpler or happier, convincing ourselves that things were better back then. But when we hold on to the past, we are not living in the present. We are not fully engaging with the life that is unfolding right before us. The past cannot be changed, no matter how much we wish it could be. And by clinging to it, we miss the chance to create something new, something better. Letting go of the past is about recognizing that while it has shaped us, it does not define us. Our future is not bound by the choices we made or the things that happened long ago. The beauty of life is that every moment offers a new beginning, and by releasing the grip on the past, we allow ourselves to fully experience what lies ahead. Letting go also involves releasing expectations. We often hold on to an idealized version of how we think things should be. We create mental pictures of how our lives, our relationships, or our dreams should unfold, and when reality doesn't align with those expectations, we feel disappointed, frustrated, or defeated. These expectations create a false sense of control, and when life doesn't go according to plan, we resist and struggle. But life, in its unpredictable and sometimes chaotic nature, cannot be contained by our expectations. The beauty of letting go of these expectations is that it frees us to embrace the reality of our lives as they are, with all their imperfections and surprises. Letting go means accepting that we cannot control everything, and that's okay. It means trusting that whatever unfolds, whether it matches our vision or not, is exactly what we need in that moment. Another critical aspect of letting go is releasing our attachment to the outcome. We often get so focused on a specific goal or result that we lose sight of the journey itself. We become consumed by the idea of how things should turn out, and when they don't meet our expectations, we become disheartened or resentful. Letting go of the outcome is about finding peace in the process rather than fixating on the result. It is about giving ourselves permission to flow with life, to trust that everything happens in its own time and for its own reasons. This doesn't mean we stop striving or setting goals, but it does mean we release the need for a specific outcome and open ourselves to the many possibilities that life has to offer. Letting go is not a one-time decision, but a continuous practice. It is something we must choose every day, in every moment. It's about continually asking ourselves, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? And having the courage to release it, even when it feels difficult. It is not about severing ties or abandoning what we love, but about recognizing that true freedom comes from the ability to release what is no longer aligned with our growth. By letting go, we make space for new experiences, new people, and new opportunities to enter our lives. Letting go, in essence, is an act of faith. It is trusting that when we release what is no longer meant for us, we make room for what is. Moving on is often seen as a daunting challenge, something that requires us to leave behind everything we've known, everything we've loved, and everything that has shaped us. It is a process that demands deep introspection, courage, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. But while moving on is undeniably difficult, it is also one of the most empowering acts we can undertake. It is the key to reclaiming our power, to stepping into a new chapter of our lives, and to opening ourselves up to new opportunities for growth, joy, and fulfillment. The act of moving on is not about erasing the past or pretending that the pain doesn't exist. It is about choosing to no longer be defined by what we have lost. It is about accepting that our journey is far from over, and that the future still holds immense possibilities for us. At its core, moving on is an act of self-preservation. When we hold on to the past, whether it's an old relationship, a past failure, or an unfulfilled dream, we create emotional baggage that weighs us down. This baggage not only prevents us from moving forward, but also keeps us trapped in a cycle of regret, longing, and self-doubt. Holding on to what is no longer serving us makes it impossible to fully embrace the present or the future. Moving on, therefore, is not just about letting go of what has hurt us, but about freeing ourselves from the chains of our own emotional attachments. It is about recognizing that while the past has shaped us, it no longer has the power to define us. By moving on, we take back control over our lives and our emotions, and we allow ourselves the space to heal and grow. The process of moving on requires us to confront the emotions we may have been avoiding. Often we resist moving on because we fear the pain it may bring. We may worry that by letting go, we are somehow betraying what we have lost, or that we will never find anything better. But moving on does not mean abandoning the love or the memories that were once part of our lives. It simply means acknowledging that we cannot continue to live in the past. We must allow ourselves to fully feel the grief, the sadness, the anger, and the disappointment that comes with loss. Only by feeling these emotions can we begin to heal from them. Moving on requires emotional honesty, acknowledging the pain, but also recognizing that we are capable of surviving it, of moving through it, and of emerging stronger. Another important aspect of moving on is the willingness to forgive not just others, but ourselves. In many cases, we find it difficult to move on because we are stuck in a cycle of blame, shame, or guilt. We may feel that we failed, that we made mistakes, or that we could have done things differently. These feelings can keep us anchored in the past, preventing us from embracing the future. But forgiveness is a powerful tool in the process of moving on. Forgiving ourselves allows us to release the heavy burden of guilt and self-blame, and it enables us to see the situation with greater clarity. It is only when we forgive ourselves that we can truly heal and make peace with the past. Similarly, Forgiving others, whether they wronged us intentionally or unintentionally, allows us to free ourselves from the hold that resentment has on us. Holding on to anger or hurt from the past only keeps us emotionally stuck, unable to move forward. Letting go of resentment is an essential part of the healing process and is crucial in moving on. Moving on also requires us to redefine our identity. When we experience a loss or a setback, it is natural to feel as though part of ourselves has been taken away. We may question who we are without that person, that job, or that dream in our lives. But moving on offers us the opportunity to discover new aspects of ourselves, to create a new vision of who we are and who we want to become. It is about shedding old versions of ourselves that no longer align with the present and embracing the possibility of becoming someone new. The person we are becoming is shaped not by what we have lost, but by the lessons we have learned, the resilience we have gained, and the strength we have built. Moving on is a chance to redefine our goals, our values, and our purpose. It is a powerful act of self-discovery, and it allows us to chart a new course for our lives. At times, moving on can feel like a daunting task, and there will inevitably be moments when we doubt ourselves or question whether we are ready. But it is important to remember that moving on does not happen all at once. It is a gradual process. It requires patience, compassion, and a willingness to take small steps forward. Each day, each moment is an opportunity to move closer to the future we want to create. Moving on does not mean we forget the past, nor does it mean that we will never experience pain again. It simply means that we are no longer willing to let the past control our future. It means that we are ready to embrace life's uncertainties and the possibilities that lie ahead. When we choose to move on, we make space for new beginnings. We open ourselves up to new relationships, new experiences, and new opportunities for growth. Moving on is the key to unlocking the next chapter of our lives, and it is the first step toward embracing the power of the present and the future. While it may not always be easy, it is one of the most important and transformative decisions we can make. Moving on is not about forgetting the past, but about choosing to live fully in the present, ready to embrace the limitless possibilities that the future holds. Embracing the power of moving on requires not only the willingness to let go, but also the courage to believe in the potential of what lies ahead. For many, the future is a source of uncertainty, a vast unknown that can feel intimidating or even overwhelming. However, it is within this uncertainty that the true power of moving on lies. When we embrace the future with an open heart and mind, we give ourselves the freedom to grow, to explore new opportunities, and to discover new versions of ourselves. Moving on is not merely about leaving the past behind, but about stepping into a space of limitless possibilities, where we have the ability to create and shape the future we desire. The fear of the unknown is a powerful force, one that can keep us stuck in the past. We often hold on to what is familiar, even when it no longer serves us, because it feels safer than stepping into the unfamiliar. But the truth is, the only way to grow is to embrace the unknown. The future is not something to fear, it is something to be excited about. Each new day brings with it the potential for something new, a new connection, a new adventure, a new challenge that will help us grow. By allowing ourselves to embrace this potential, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities that would otherwise remain out of reach. Moving on is the first step toward accessing this future, where we can create new experiences and embark on a path that is uniquely ours. One of the greatest obstacles in moving on is the tendency to focus on what we have lost. It is easy to get caught up in the pain of the past, to dwell on what could have been, or to hold on to regrets and missed opportunities. But when we focus on what we have lost, we miss out on the possibilities of what we can gain. The future is not a continuation of the past, it is an entirely new chapter. When we let go of our attachment to what has gone before, we free ourselves to embrace the future with a fresh perspective. Moving on allows us to shift our focus from what we have lost to what we have yet to gain. It is about recognizing that while the past has shaped us, it is the future that holds the greatest potential for growth, happiness, and fulfillment. Another important aspect of embracing the power of moving on is the ability to learn from the past without letting it define us. Every experience, no matter how painful, carries with it a lesson. The key is to extract these lessons without becoming trapped in the emotions or the circumstances that accompanied them. Moving on does not mean that we forget what we have learned or that we erase the memories that have shaped us. Instead, it means that we use those lessons to propel us forward. We take the wisdom gained from our experiences and apply it to new situations, ensuring that we do not repeat past mistakes, but also that we do not let them dictate our future. The future is a blank canvas, and we have the power to paint it with the lessons, strengths, and resilience we have cultivated through our past. One of the most empowering aspects of moving on is the realization that we are not bound by our circumstances. The past may have had a significant impact on us, but it does not determine our future. We have the ability to create the life we want, regardless of what has happened before. The power of moving on lies in the realization that we are the authors of our own stories. We are not defined by the mistakes we've made, the people we've lost, or the opportunities we've missed. We are defined by our ability to choose how we respond to these experiences and to move forward in a way that aligns with our true selves. Moving on is about taking ownership of our narrative, about choosing to rewrite the story in a way that empowers us to step into the future with confidence. As we embrace the power of moving on, we must also learn to trust ourselves. Trust is essential in the process of moving forward. It is the belief that we have the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience to navigate whatever challenges come our way. Trusting ourselves means acknowledging that we are capable of handling the uncertainties of the future and that we have the inner resources to adapt, learn, and grow. It is easy to feel unsure about the future, to question whether we are making the right decisions or whether we are on the right path. But when we trust ourselves, we are able to move forward with faith, knowing that we have the ability to face whatever lies ahead. Trusting ourselves is not about having all the answers, but about having the confidence to take the next step, even when the path is unclear. The act of moving on also requires us to be open to change. Change is a natural part of life, yet many of us resist it because it feels uncomfortable or unsettling. But it is through change that we find growth. Change is what keeps us moving forward. It is what drives us to discover new possibilities, new directions, and new ways of being. Embracing change is a vital part of embracing the future. Moving on means accepting that things may not always go according to plan, and that the future may look very different from what we expected. But this does not mean it will be any less meaningful. Change brings with it new opportunities, new connections, and new adventures that we may never have imagined. By embracing change, we allow ourselves to move beyond the limitations of the past and into a future full of potential. In embracing the power of moving on, we discover that the future is not something to fear, but something to be embraced with open arms. It is a realm of endless possibilities, where we have the power to create, to grow, and to shape our destiny. Moving on is not about forgetting the past, it is about using it as a foundation for building a future that is even more fulfilling and meaningful. It is about trusting in ourselves, in our ability to learn, adapt, and create the life we desire. The future is a blank canvas and we have the brush in our hands. What we choose to create from this moment forward is entirely up to us. Moving on is not merely a process of leaving the past behind, it is an act of profound empowerment, a declaration that we are ready to embrace the future with open hearts and minds. It is about acknowledging the lessons the past has taught us, releasing the emotional weight that holds us back, and stepping into a new chapter of our lives with courage, hope, and possibility. By letting go, healing, and trusting in our ability to navigate whatever comes next, we open ourselves up to growth, transformation, and a future far richer than we can imagine. The power to move on lies within each of us, and when we choose to embrace it, we reclaim our lives and our potential. The future is waiting not as something to fear, but as an opportunity to create, to thrive, and to live fully. Let us not be defined by what has been, but by the limitless possibilities that lie ahead. The journey is ours to shape. Thank you.